Hello, today I'd like to go through a sequence that I often do in my class and that is often requested in classes as well. And that is a sequence that uses a belt. Now you can use an actual yoga belt. You can also make do with a couple of other styles of belt. In fact, any belt you have around the home. That is a bathrobe belt. This is a luggage belt. So if you don't have an actual yoga belt, then use whatever kind of belt you can get your hands on that's long enough and that feels comfortable enough to use. You might also make use of a block, or it can be a not too plump cushion as well. And you'll see what that's used for when we come to it. So if you just lie down, first of all, I'm going to place this belt around 1 foot, and we're going to grab hold of the belt, one hand in each end of the belt, okay? Or one end of the belt in each hand. Now the leg doesn't have to be vertical. I mean, this is fairly vertical, but it doesn't have to be vertical. If you're quite tight in the back of the leg, then perhaps the foot is a little bit further away from you. If you're a little bit more flexible, maybe it's a bit further over. Vertical is theoretically halfway in the full range of movement that joint can actually move in. Some people can take it almost the full 180 degrees. Remember, these things don't matter. It is about sensation, and at the moment the sensation should be on the back of the thigh. The leg doesn't have to be completely straight either. It can be slightly bent if that takes a bit of strain out of the knee area. Okay? If you have an issue with your joints, if your joints are quite mobile, perhaps don't lock the knee. So just holding this for a little while, feeling that nice stretch on the back of the thigh. If that was a little bit too intense, whatever the angle, you could even bend the other knee, and that will just allow a little bit more movement in that leg, and that would be acceptable, that would be fine. The muscle on the back of the thigh, the hamstring, is often one of the tightest muscles in our body, so it really can do with a good stretch from time to time. The second movement in this little sequence on this first leg, because there are 3 or 4 movements on each leg, is we're going to take that leg out to the side. Now this is where either a block or a cushion could come in handy. Yoga bolster is usually a little bit too big, it doesn't work quite as well. Now that block could just slot underneath the hip bone on that side, or the pelvic bone on that side. It's not jammed right underneath, because that's tipping my hips over or my pelvis over, and it's not so far out that it'll miss the hip bone and come underneath the thigh. You want it to just touch the side of the hip before you come out to the side. Take both ends of the belt into the hand that's holding onto that leg. Notice how I'm wrapping it around my hand. If your other leg isn't bent now, do bend it, because that actually helps in this one. And you're going to take that other knee, the one that you've bent, out to one side, and you're going to lower the other leg, the straight leg, the one that's in the belt, away from the body. And that's now stretching the inside of that leg. Beautiful stretch. See if you can turn the foot outwards at the toes as well. Just rotating that leg within its socket. Really nice stretch on the side of the thigh. These postures can be held as long as you like, as long as you want to hold them. Perhaps the other hand's on the inside of the thigh just to give it some balance, just to stop it tipping over. But that block or cushion, if you've got one there, also serves that purpose too. It kind of supports the leg while you're stretching. And then just bring that leg back up again. Now move that block out of the way. If you can now stretch out the first leg, switch hands, so you're now going to hold both ends of that belt in the other hand, okay? And this is not a twist. You're not trying to twist the back or the spine, you're trying to cross one leg across the other thigh to give a stretch on the side of the leg that we're working. So I think it helps also to hold on to the hip joint on that side. So my hand is hooked around the hip joint on that side. And what I'm going to do is just let the leg drift over. So it's my right leg and I'm drifting towards the left with the belt. I'm holding on to that leg, drifting it out towards the side. It gives me a really nice stretch along one side. Yeah. So the sensation is somewhere along one side, like the seam running through that trouser leg, yeah? Somewhere possibly between the knee and the hip bone, side of the thigh. Feels great. There's an area in the leg called the iliotibial band, or ITB, and this one really hits that spot. So if anyone with issues in your ITB or iliotibial band or IT band, a lot of words used to describe that same area. Really good stretch. Okay, and then just release. And the next movement, switch hands once again. We do a number of things here. The first thing we're going to do is bend the knee. Then we're going to twist that leg so that your knee pushes a little bit more sideways and the foot is actually facing the inside of the posture. Then tighten your stomach muscles, squeeze the stomach muscles, see if you can reach up and grab hold of that foot with the other hand. If you can't reach, maybe hold on to the belt rather than the foot, okay? Hold on, squeeze the stomach muscles, lift up towards the head with the foot. You might even let go of the knee and push that knee a little further out to the side as well. Really nice stretch here in the glute, inside of the thigh, nice twist for the hip. Make sure you're not feeling it in the neck. Try and squeeze the stomach rather than engage the neck muscles. You don't have to hold it for too long though. Let's take the head down, let's take the leg back up to the ceiling. Now for this posture, I'm actually going to turn around for a moment just so that I can show you. So we're still on the same side. So we're going to take both ends of the belt into the left hand if we're working the right leg. This time we are twisting. So you can do it one of two ways. You can either use that belt to twist and get the foot to go as far towards and touch the ground if possible, or as an alternative you can do a bent leg twist. So I'll show you the bent leg twist in a moment. But stretch out the opposite arm on the floor and let the leg drift over to the side. And you're taking that leg as far as you can take it over towards the floor. But if the foot doesn't quite come all the way to the floor, then bend the knee and just let it rest, the foot rest on the other thigh, and transfer the hand onto the knee. I just shifted my hip over a little bit as well. That feels a little bit more comfortable. Hand on the knee and then just look across the opposite arm. So you're getting a really nice twist in this posture. I'm going to stay here for a little bit. Feels really nice. Okay, and then let's bring that knee up and we're ready to go on the other side now. So the belt comes around the left foot. Of course you have the choice of which leg you start on, it really doesn't matter whether it's right or left. But now the hamstring on the other side. So remember in this one it's best to have each end of the belt in a hand, so one end of the belt in each hand. Straighten the leg as much as you can, feel that nice stretch on the back of the thigh, the hamstring. Remember you have the option of bending the other leg as well, which I think I did on the first side, so we'll go with that on this side too. Stretching that leg, feeling that nice stretch on the back of the thigh, the hamstring muscle. This sequence is based around a series of postures, Supta Padangusthasana. Each one is working a different area of the leg, the back of one thigh, inside of that thigh, outside of that thigh, and then the final one is a twist. And the one where you're lifting the head up is working mainly the glute and the core muscles. Okay, so the second in this series, we'll use that belt, that block. So you put a block just up against the hip. If you haven't already bend the knee on the other side. And then the knee goes out one way, you lower the leg out, supported by the block. If not, if you haven't got a block or a cushion, you can make do without. Feeling the inside of the thigh here, strong stretch across the inner thigh. Other hand is gently pushing on the other side, never force, never painful, always a little bit back from edge. And then bring that leg back to its original position. Stretch out the other leg, switch hands, we move the block. Hold on to the hip with the thigh, cross. If you don't feel that stretch on the outside of the thigh, try rotating the leg. I'm holding it with my hand just to demonstrate what I'm meaning. You don't have to do that. But you just rotate it clockwise, anti-clockwise. See if you can find that spot. For me, it's just there where I now feel that beautiful stretch across the hip and thigh. Holding that there for a little bit, really feel that nice stretch. It's easing and releasing as I hold it on this side a lot. Feels great. Really needed this on the muscles of the leg. Okay, then easing that leg back to its original position, switching hands. Bend the knee, tighten the core muscles, lift up towards the head, maybe push the knee out with the other hand. Make sure you're not feeling it in the neck, that you're feeling it in the core, the glute, thigh muscles. Feels fantastic. Okay, didn't have to hold that one too long. Bring the head down. And we finish with the twist. Again, I'm just going to roll around. Here we go. So remember, either a straight leg twist if the foot will reach the ground on the other side, alternatively a bent leg twist with the hand resting on the knee, other arm stretching out, and just ease into it, shifting the hip if you like a little bit. Again, beautiful twist for the body, for the back, for the outer edge of the hip as well. You can hear a little bit of sound. That's actually sound outside of my window today, not in the next room. The movements we've done so far in this belt sequence have worked, as I say, the back of the thigh. the inside of the thigh and the outside of the thigh to complete the set of muscles around the thigh. What we need is something that will stretch the front of the thigh. And we're going to do that after we've finished this sequence. But just to finish off what we're doing at the moment, we'll bring that knee back up out of the twist. Let's place both feet in the belt just to finish off. Now, having done the individual stretches, that feels a lot looser in the back of the thighs. We're still effectively doing the same thing, stretching the back of the legs. Squeeze the stomach muscles a little bit, flatten the lower back if you can. A couple of breaths more. Any stretch, to be effective, has to be held for around about 30 seconds. Anything less than that, we're not really giving the muscles enough time to stretch. And beyond that, as long as you like, as long as it feels good to stretch the muscles. Okay, then just bend the knees, bring the feet down. Just roll to one side to come up, always the safest way of coming back up. And what I suggest for the front of the thigh, it's a very simple lunge. And that is now stretching the quad at the front of the thigh. That completes all of the leg muscles, back, inside, outside, and front. Now what you notice is, when you stretch these muscles of the leg, you get a nice release in the back as well. Some of the muscles do actually attach to the back, so you're getting a double benefit, and that you're loosening up the spine as well. Strong stretch just here, front of the thigh. Okay, today that is it. The fabulous, famous belt sequence. Hope you enjoyed that, hope you found it useful, hope you got a good stretch out of it, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.